continue to discuss the second assassination attempt against former President Trump over the weekend on this Tuesday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. We're juggling that story and the breaking news coming from overseas that apparently Israel is responsible. Now, multiple news agencies are citing anonymous sources, but I think it is safe to say that this was a coordinated effort to lash back at the terrorists that have attacked Israel. And the long-term ramifications of this pager explosion, coordinated explosion, I mean, it's incredible to dissect. The psychological ramifications, the ability to brand those terrorists that have hidden in plain sight for how long amongst the Israeli people, amongst the people of Iran, amongst the people of Jordan. It's incredible. In the meantime, we're going to be speaking with Senator Tommy Tuberville an hour in advance of our originally scheduled time. Originally, he was scheduled to be on at about 2:40 today, 2:45. That is backed up to about 1:45. So in about 6 or so minutes, we will share some thoughts from Senator Tommy Tuberville with regard to what additional security measures need to be taken to make sure that Donald Trump is safe and sound. As I said yesterday, this is not a Democrat or Republican matter. This is a matter of loving the United States of America and our representative republic and our ability to freely and openly select leaders of our choosing. Because if Donald Trump, God forbid, if there's another attack, and Senator Tuberville has predicted it, God forbid if there is a successful attack, and he's killed, I perish the thought as to what would happen to the United States. I do. In the meantime, you on the phone, 615-737-9986. Here's Matthew. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, how you doing today?
Very good. How are you?
Good. Getting by. Same as everybody else in America, right?
Sure. Making it till we break it.
So listen, I got this question for about a year now. I just can't wrap my head around. I'm hoping maybe you can help me. So the Democrat Party, including the regular old working Joe who's a Democrat, they're all in with Ukraine. It's 100% we're going to support Ukraine, and we're going to give them every last nickel we got. But for some reason, they're totally against Israel, and I don't understand. Help me wrap my head around that concept.
Because they've decided that they hate Israel. Israel is the oppressor. Israel, for whatever reason, does not deserve to exist. Israel, they put these labels and designations on these groups of individuals, and they're never wavering into. They don't think about their support after they do so, right?
I mean, do any of these people? I mean, I know the news doesn't talk about it, but does anybody understand how corrupt and vile Ukraine is? How it's not a great country? How the average American would probably, loathe living there?
Well, sure. I mean, I don't know that liberals think, much less that they've thought about that specific aspect of what they claim to support. So, yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to answer that as a liberal might answer it. But here's what I can tell you. Does Ukraine deserve to exist? Certainly it does. Is that our business? I would say it's our business in as much as we could diplomatically try to find a way to peace for the Ukrainian people through our relationships with Russia. I would answer you more directly that the reason that most liberals have decided to pick Ukraine in this conflict or battle is because, A, Russia was the aggressor. There's no doubt about that. But B, they already decided that Russia was the biggest geopolitical enemy that we had because Democrats told them so, because Democrats lied for 4.5 years about Donald Trump being in bed with Vladimir Putin, which never was the case. Vladimir Putin minded his manners during the Trump administration. Vladimir Putin did not invade anyone. He didn't go into Crimea during Trump. He went to Crimea during Obama. He didn't go into Ukraine during Trump. He went into Ukraine during Biden. I mean, you see the pattern there?
I mean, and again, ironically, the money that the Biden family, as it has been proven, again, it's not conspiracy or, opinion, they receive from the mayor's wife of Moscow or the mayor or whomever. It's just, I don't know. I just, again, I can't understand. And I guess fortunately and unfortunately, I don't have people within my circle ask them these questions, I tend to stay as far away from it as I can.
Well, I mean, the concept, and I shy away from it because it's more of an obvious answer to you, but it is the obvious conclusion that you have to draw from the Biden administration specifically, that if they're getting large amounts of money from the Ukrainians, then one would expect the Ukrainians have certain levels of dirt on the Biden administration. If not Joe Biden himself, then certain members in the Biden family. And so the theory there, if you will, the conspiracy theory there is that the Bidens are so embedded with Burisma and other Ukrainian officials that they have to protect Ukraine at the cost of exposing themselves to the levels of corruption that they've gone through over the last decade.
Yeah. I mean, and two, how deep does it go in D.C. with other people involved? Because, I mean, everybody knows, I mean, they all hang out together. So they know who does what and who hangs out with whom. And
Sure they do. Matthew, great call and a great question. I mean, it is. These are two different circumstances, two different situations. Israel obviously has the right to defend itself. The idea that these liberals have, I cannot even a year later understand the concept of siding with Hamas. And that's what you're doing. You're not siding with Palestine. There is no such thing. The Palestinian people overwhelmingly support Hamas. Hamas is the governing authority of that region of the world. Those are the individuals, those are the groups that attacked and killed innocents on October 7th, 2023. To side with, quote, the Palestinians is to side with Hamas, effectively. They do not believe, frankly, most of the people who are screaming about genocide and these types of things, they would prefer that Israel not exist. Similarly, I believe that most people in the United States of America on the other subject of the day that are blaming Donald Trump, most liberals that I've seen on national television networks have the audacity to blame Donald Trump on the assassination attempt against him. Oh, well, his rhetoric is such that you would expect this type of thing to happen to him. They're telling Donald Trump, the guy that they're trying to kill, that he needs to tone down his rhetoric so that he doesn't get killed. The beatings will continue until morale improves. Isn't that the old saying? In the meantime, a lot of you on the membersnutrition.com super text line weighing in on the previous conversation. And then there's 1146. 1146 writes in and says, hey, man, that was yesterday. Hey, man, I'm from Michigan. I would love to school you on why Harris is the best option. If you ain't scared, save me a spot line. And then today, the same caller, 1146, has written back and said, you ready to get that, you ready to get to that debate, or you scared? Go, Kamala, baby boy. I'll crush you on a debate on why she's the best. Tell me when to call. And then, just moments ago, this follow-up. Come on, big bad radio man. You don't want this debate, do you? Jeff, go ahead and mark that caller, and we will call that they don't have to call us. We'll call them after our interview with Tommy Tuberville in the 2:00 hour, and we'll have a great conversation with a liberal who wants to talk to me about why Kamala. This person apparently is from Michigan, and they want to talk to me and school me, according to them, on why Kamala Harris is the best option. We'll do that in the 2:00 hour. That should be a lot of fun. That's appointment listening right now. All right, 147. A break a little bit early so we can have. Is that Senator Tuberville on the line right now?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. All right. So then you'll have to move a few things around so we can go right to Senator Tommy Tuberville, who joins us on the Matt Murphy Show on our hotline to talk to us about the events of the last several days. Senator, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Good afternoon, Tommy. I hope you're well.
Matt, I'm doing well. Sound like you're having a fun day.
Man, I'm having fun in Nashville, Tennessee, my brother, and life is good. One of these days, we won't have to talk politics and we can talk college football, but today's not that day. Today is not that day. I need your help in settling down some of these Tennessee Volunteer fans, but we'll do that later on. So talk to me about your effort to get more security around Donald Trump. And I know you've been joined by multiple senators, including Tennessee's own Bill Hagerty, in this effort. It is a worthwhile effort, and obviously something needs to happen to protect our man because they're coming after him.
Oh, they're coming after him. They're going to get him if we don't get a sense of urgency up here. It's a terrible plan, Matt. Nothing up here is planned out. They knew this election was coming. They knew how volatile it was going to be. Nobody ever dreamed that he would have 2 assassination attempts, and we've got 48 days left. They've tried to arrest him. They've bankrupted him, impeach him. They've tried to do everything, weaponize the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA. They're all corrupt. And all of a sudden, we don't have enough money for Secret Service. It's just an absolute debacle. But again, I've been up here for 2 days now after the assassination here in Washington, D.C., and there's no sense of urgency. Everybody's kind of looking around going, well, he's got enough to take care of, but they fail to remember this guy works 14, 18 hours a day. He's going to hit 2 or 3 places a day in the next 48 days. He's different than these Democrats who sit on their butt and maybe work 3 or 4 hours a day and go lay on the beach. He actually cares about this country. We've got to protect him.
Amazingly, in the aftermath of this second assassination attempt, some of your colleagues and others in D.C., Democrats all, have blamed Trump. They've blamed Donald Trump, saying that his rhetoric has caused some of this. How do you respond to that?
Well, they're idiots, to be honest with you. And of course, you're going to have words used in elections, but if you just look at what this group of Democrats, I can give you 15 or 20 quotes, whether it's on TV or tweets or whatever, from these people about calling Trump Hitler, fascist, Marxist, crook, needs to be in jail. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And Trump just calls it the way it is. He sees them turning our country into a socialist, communist country, calls it Comrade Kamala. What else do you want to call her? She's not patriotic, Kamala. She could care less about this country. Her or Joe Biden or any of the Democrats, they have tried to take us down, and they've almost accomplished what they're trying to do. And they know if they can take this one last presidency away from Donald Trump, send him to the bench, and get Kamala Harris in there, our country's over the way that me and you grew up in and knew it for the last many years.
Senator Tommy Tuberville joining us from the great state of Alabama, talking to us about the assassination attempt against Donald Trump and what we need to do about it. It seems to me that it's just as easy as someone in the president's administration making a telephone call and redirecting resources to Donald Trump's detail, isn't it? Am I overthinking this, underthinking this? What's the holdup?
Well, they're all talk and no action. They really don't want to do something for a guy that probably going to be the next president of the United States. It's just unfortunate. But at the end of the day, they say it's funding. Now, we spend $6 trillion a year in our country. Now, we only take in $4 trillion, so we way overspend. At the end of the day, though, we're like a third world country now, whether it's crime, whether it's anything to do with the border. Everything is a third world country. And now third world countries protect their leaders a hell of a lot better than we do. And we should be embarrassed of what's happened to President Trump, not just the 2 assassination attempts, but how they've weaponized everything against him to try to bring him down. But guess what? He's still there, and he's still going to win.
Senator, I know you've had an opportunity to sit down with President Trump. I know you've spoken with him, and I want to say that you've talked to him after this assassination attempt. I feel like that's the case. I mean, have you noticed any change in tenor or tone for him, or is it full steam ahead? I mean, I have to believe that it causes a man a certain level of reflection. You've been in the white hot spotlight all of your adult life, whether it's coaching college football on the sidelines or as a United States Senator. You've probably had your fair share of threats, but for a man who has gone through that he went through in Butler and then this recent event in West Palm Beach, what is his demeanor like?
Yeah, he changed a little bit after the first one. Of course, he came within probably a quarter of an inch of losing his life. And that one was that really brought him to a point where, man, this is for real. Now, this one on the golf course, I played with him on this golf course many times. I know exactly where he was standing and where the shooter was at. The Secret Service did a good job. You know, I've been around those Secret Service people many times, and they're always businesslike. They do their job. The problem is they don't have enough of them. And as I said earlier, this guy, you're not going to keep him in the basement like Biden and Kamala. She won't do an interview. Biden won't leave his basement. But here's a guy that's going to go all around the country and tell people why he should be the next president, but they don't want to protect him. And it's a crying shame, and something better not happen to him, or they'll find out a whole lot more about this country, about the American people than they're going to want to if something like that happens.
Well, I made this comment yesterday, Senator, and I'm curious your thoughts on it, because for me, this is an America thing. Even if you hate Donald Trump with every fiber of your being, you should be like Senator Tommy Tuberville and Matt Murphy, demanding more security, because Tommy, I don't know. I perish to think. I don't want to think about what would happen to America if they were successful. I mean, not just for his life and for his family, but for the future of this country. I mean, I'm sad to tell you that, I mean, it would be very, very bad.
Hey, we want the same thing for Biden and Kamala Harris. We do not want anything to happen to them, because if something were to happen to them, then obviously, you know, there would people be pointing, and we'd have more of a division in this country. The problem we have, Matt, right now, our mental health situation in this country is a disaster. We have no plan for it, and if we don't get a handle on that, it's going to get worse and worse. But what worries me now, after these first two, with all the rhetoric out there from the Democrats and from Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries, all these so-called wannabe politicians, things are going to get worse, and there's going to be a copycat. And maybe not one, but more than one. There's going to be other ways to possibly do something. That's the reason we have to have either Navy SEALs or Rangers or more DHS. We have to have more people. We have to have more people at certain situations where they can just hop, skip around, when knowing President Trump's going to go from Philadelphia to Atlanta to Dallas. We have got to have protection. But the same thing for Kamala Harris, and same thing for Joe Biden. Anybody. What they did to Robert Kennedy Jr. Is a shame, absolute shame. And that goes to show you where Mayorkas, who handles Homeland Security, he says the border's closed. Well, I got some beachfront property I'll sell you too up in Washington, D.C. These people will lie and knowing that the truth's better, but they have to have their way. They cannot allow Donald Trump to win this election, because their total scheme of turning this country into a socialist communist state will be over.
Senator, final thought in the minute that we have left. I'm curious if you've been able to absorb the breaking news regarding the conflict between Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah. It is believed that Israel is responsible for these pager attacks. What an incredible piece of technology. What an incredible intelligence operation this seems to be. Any first thoughts on this breaking news that came out earlier today?
Well, I'm on Armed Services Committee, and one thing I'll tell you first is don't always believe the propaganda that the media puts out there.
All right.
They've told more lies since I've been up here. Me knowing the truth, I can't believe what they put on television. It's not just Israel, Hamas, or Hezbollah. It's also Ukraine, which is a disaster. We've got all these neocons pushing that war, and they're going to end up in a world war if we don't watch it. But there's so much propaganda that's pushed out that is false, that it's just hard to weed yourself through all the non-truth and the truth. So I don't know what's happened. I haven't been advised on that today, but we will be probably in the next 2 or 3 hours, and we'll find out what happened. But just really be careful when this new stuff comes out, because the propaganda in this media that we have, which is god awful, all leans toward war, leans toward everything against Israel, everything against Russia. Again, I'm not a fan of Russia, but I'm going to tell you, the one thing that I've seen is we have so many people pushing war against Russia that really, really scares me. It really does. But hopefully we can find out what's happened with these pagers. I saw a little bit of it on television. I'm thinking, here's something else that the propagandists are going to start throwing at Israel. It might be true. I'm not saying it's not, but just be careful what you believe on the first thoughts.
Coach, thank you so much for the time. Good to catch up with you. Let's do it again soon. Hey, if you're not doing anything September 28th, let's go to T-Town and watch a ball game, okay?
I'm going to tell you what, that'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good.
I heard our man's planning on going down there. That's what I heard.
Yeah, he's going. President Trump's going now. That was before the last attempt. I don't know. He's got enough people to protect him, but I think he's going to the Georgia-Alabama game for sure.
I think so, too. So, Coach, thanks a lot. Appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care. There's Senator Tommy Tuberville joining us. KGB, I gave you a lot of work to do because I know I'm very late. We got news coming up in just a couple of minutes, but we'll take a quick time out. Before we do, let me remind you about Men of Valor. Men of Valor can be found at movministry.com, movministry.com. They are bringing in Tim Tebow, I should say, to the state of Tennessee coming up on October 1st. It's a big event happening with Men of Valor, and you can find out more by going to movministry.com. On the 1st, he'll be at Rocketown in Nashville. And then following that on October 2nd, I should say, on October 2nd, he will be in Knoxville, Tennessee. That is the Men of Valor event. Can be found more at movministry.com. That's movministry.com.